So dear friends, in this video we are going to learn about employment. So as the definition suggests, employment refers to an economic activity in which an individual works regularly for another person and get remuneration in return. Uh, in a easier language, we can say that employment involves the performing of the work which is assigned by the employer under the contract of the service, and the person who are involved in this employment are referred as employees. Okay, the employees get remuneration for their services, like the remuneration can be in the form of wage, salary, bonus, commission, and etc. Employment may be on a permanent or a temporary basis, like maybe it's like a full-time employment, maybe it's like a part-time basis, so maybe it varies. And the terms and conditions of the employment include the duty hours, nature of the job performed, pay scale, other allowances, and also like the salary and the remuneration which usually an employee gets, it usually depends on the nature of the work what they're doing. So like the examples of employment are covers all the types of the jobs in private enterprises, government organizations, joint sectors, and many others. Like a professionally qualified person, like a doctor, chartered accountant, can also join as an employee in some organization. Like in the previous class, we have learned about that about profession, but that a person who is a professional, he is totally dependent on him. But if we think in this way, that a doctor who is a professional person, he is working in a hospital and he is getting a remuneration in return of that, then that doctor is an employee of that hospital. So, employment in an easier language, we can say that it's an economic activity where an individual works regularly as an employee and gets remuneration. So, the most important difference between the profession and employment is that in employment you have to work for other. Like you have a boss, you have an employer who is hiring you and who is giving you the job, who is giving you the money, who is giving you the remuneration, bonus, etc. Now we will proceed about the features of the employment. So the first and foremost feature of the employment, we can see that is services to the employer. So like in employment, like services are rendered by the employees under a contract of the employment. So like in when an employee works for a company or an organization or any other sector, like he usually works for his boss, like he usually works for the employer, and he usually gets remuneration on return of that. So like here he have to serve for his employer, like he has to work on the basis how his boss, how the employer actually is wanting the work to be done, the nature of the work, the contract, everything is described by them. So like here the employees doesn't work for himself, he works. So like here that we can see that employment does not need any investment of capital, since as an employee works for an employer, he works for an office, so he doesn't need to do any investment. Like he will just go to office, he will do the work, he will come back to the home, and at the end of the month he will get his salary. He don't need to do any investment because the investment part will be done by the employer, the organization head. So here we can see that like investment of the capital, it's not done by the employees. So employment doesn't requires investment of the capital. For the third point, we can see that is the follow rules and norms, that is following of the rules and norms. So here we can see that and in employment an employee has to follow rules and norms prescribed by the company. So as we can have an idea that a person who is working for a company, he has to abide by all the regulations and the norms which is set by that company. For an example, like a company, it's a regulation of a company that it will open at 9 p.m. And it will work whole night, so that then if all the employees working in that company, they had to abide by that regulations and they had to reach there by 9 p.m. and work whole night. So here they can't say that I won't be able to work at 9 p.m. because he is an employee and he has to abide by all the rules and norms which is set by the employer. So like he has to follow all the rules and all the regulations and all the policies and all the things which have been prescribed by them. And the last point is remuneration. So in employment, an employee gets wages, salaries related to benefits under the contract of the employment. So as we have discussed it earlier, that an employee will work for his employer, and as a result, he will get a remuneration, a solid remuneration. Like this money will differ from the from the nature of the work. For example, just joined as an associate. So we have to understand that employees will get salaries, they will get bonus, and but all this will be paid by the employer. So they will get a salary as per their work schedule, as per the nature of the work. But it's not like they will get any profit which is earned by the company. They will not get to access that shares which have been procured by the company. They will not get to earn that profit shares which are earned actually by the company. They will do their work, they will come back home, and they will work on the basis of the salary which they are getting.